Ready to explore the latest trends in real estate? What are innovators in building planning for the future? The Ralph Bivins Project digs deep into the minds of key players in the industry and discussions with today's thought leaders. I'm Ralph Bivins. As a journalist who's covered the real estate development industry for decades, I invite you to join me as we probe for new ideas and projects that will be making headlines soon. We love to ask hard questions to interesting people. When you've done over 100,000 interviews, you seem to get enlightening answers. Don't forget to download and review this podcast on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your audio inspiration. You can also watch and subscribe on YouTube or visit realtynewsreport.com. Hi, it's Ralph Bivins, the Ralph Bivins Project. We're here today with Shae Cottar. He's with eXp Realty, and he does a lot of residential sales in the Houston area. And he's also chairman-elect of the Houston Association of Realtors, and which, of course, one of the biggest association in the country. Vast readership on their, or usership, whatever it may be, on their website, har.com. You know, they've got listings all over the place, and on that site, and a lot of information. And you know, HAR. You know, I remember back reporting about this a long time ago, before anybody else has really had it together. And you know, HAR was one of the first. Maybe the first association in the nation to put listings online so that the general public can see. Yeah, that's forward thinking. And we're doing now, isn't it? Okay. Yeah. Well, we just got the 2023 annual results, you know, and and we had 2023 versus 2022, the single family home sales in the Houston area were down 12%.
Right.
Tell me about that. What happened? Why is that?
You know, I really think that 2023, like a lot of things these days, right, it really kind of deserves the context of about a 2 or 3 year stretch. Everything kind of became this sort of perfect storm for what happened between 2022 and 2023 with, the quick rise of prices for homes, coupled with really, really unprecedented low interest rates. And of course, everybody was stuck at home. Everybody was realizing how much they were frustrated with their homes because they were all stuck there. So 2022 and 2023, especially that last half of 2023, I think saw something that we needed, which was kind of a gentle or more organic balancing of the market. And yeah, home prices started coming down, and home sales, did drop. The drop was really a national thing, which is kind of unique for Houston, because Houston typically, and I'm sure you've seen this, typically Houston is so resilient to what's going on in the national market with the energy corridor, with the petrochemical industry. We're pretty resilient overall. So the fact that we saw a dip was kind of a mix. It's something not that familiar to us here, but in the national context, it still kind of made sense.
That's right. And then, of course, the interest rates played a huge part of that.
Absolutely. 23,
they got up there pretty high, past 7% at one point in the year. Mm-hmm. That's when you're sitting there with a 3% home. Why would I ever want to sell? I'm not going to move. Hang on to this. Yeah.
My first home I bought in 1999 was 7.5% interest. and that kind of brings a little bit more historical perspective. But I really don't know that we'll ever see 2.5% interest rates again, or 3%.
That was good. People that refied or people that bought, they're going to have
they hit a once in a lifetime deal, probably. Yeah.
Oh man, it was great. It was great, and I'm glad some people got a great deal.
Absolutely.
That's, I guess that's part of the what happened with going back in history a year or more, maybe 18 months. But that's kind of what was happening with the price increases we were seeing across the home prices were going up because there was people didn't want to put as many. They didn't want to move as much, and the inventory was low. That's the way they say it. The inventory was low.
Right. Here in Houston, we typically see an average of about 3 to 3.5 months of inventory. And during 22 and 23, there were times we got down below a month of inventory, and it was insane. I've never seen inventory that low personally. Now, the good news is, in that sort of correction that we're beginning to see, Houston's back up to about 3.3 months of inventory, so we're back in that normal range. Rentals are about 3.5 months of inventory, so I think that plus what we're seeing with the interest rates really sort of shapes 24 up to be a much healthier year, much more balanced.
Not as extreme, but when the rates were so low, when that's people wanted to buy, and I guess that get multiple offers on the houses.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Pretty good to sell, though, I guess. When you're getting multiple offers, that's your chance right there.
Absolutely.
Bank a little equity for a rainy day.
Oh yeah.
We're here in January. Got a lot of 24 ahead of us on the runway. What's going to happen, man? What do you see going on? You talk to a lot of realtors. You guys got
I do
50,000 members or something. So
and in my role at EXP, I mean, I as managing broker, I talk to agents all over the state. Constantly. We've got like 3,500 agents right here in Houston and about 9,000 statewide. And one of the things that I'm seeing when I talk to those agents, not just with the XP, but with any brokers, like you said, with 50,000 agents right here in Houston, one of the things that I'm seeing over and over is that, number one, the activity is picking back up. Number two, buyers are able to be a lot more picky now. I'm seeing a lot of contract disputes where people are negotiating a little harder. People are not just sort of acquiescing to what the seller's wanting because the seller has all of the cards now. The sellers don't have all the cards anymore. Inventory is back up. It's not as scarce as it was, and that. The uptick in inventory, coupled with that downtick in interest rates, plus the slight downtick that we've had in pricing, really puts a lot of the leverage back in the buyer's hands. And what I'm seeing right now is buyers are getting a lot more excited about the market. Obviously, the confidence, that consumer confidence in the market's been kind of low over the last couple of years with a lot of this stuff happening. And especially those last 6 months of last year when we saw the interest rates rising so much. That confidence seems to be coming back. People seem to be getting excited about the prospects of where the market's headed now. I really do believe that home sales will have a significant uptick again, but right now it kind of hinges on what the Federal Reserve is going to do, really.
Well, there's a lot of talk that they, well, I guess the general consensus that I've heard from several people, but I may be wrong. Three rate cuts this year, interest rate cuts this year. We're starting the first one in March. I hear that narrative a lot. who knows if it's right? But what do you think?
It would be really nice if we had a crystal ball. I would love that. I do hear a lot of that same conversation. In the past, those conversations have kind of proven to be accurate. We'll have to wait and see, obviously, but I do think it's those kinds of topics that are kind of beginning to pique the interest of the buyers again, and kind of seeing the impact in that consumer confidence. I think one of the things that we're really leveraging right now is communication. Consumers just want to make sure that they know all that they can know. And they should. I mean, nobody wants to go into a transaction that's quite possibly one of the largest, if not the largest, financial investment of their lives without knowing everything they can know. And a lot of that time, it's been, what is the interest rate going to look like? Or am I going to be able to find the right place? Or and is it going to be more expensive to buy than rent? These are all the kinds of conversations that I think people have been struggling with. But I do think there's that light ahead.
Yeah, it's they don't want to get let inflation roar too much. They've always got that in the back of their brain. If they have one, that's when I kept saying, "Oh, it's this inflation we have is transitory." A couple of years ago, what? And sure enough, that was wrong, and that was totally wrong. And then they had to come back with these, 0.75%, bam, 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 rate hikes, real fast, 75 basis points. That was three big, several of those big whacks like that back for month after month, and that was too extreme. I wish they had come in a little sooner with, a quarter point. That let's ease into it and not go so fast, because it's when you move that fast, there's going to be stuff, bad effects on the other side.
Sure.
It would sure help housing right now. I think that the affordability, of course, is the issue, and inflation that households are feeling is an issue.
Oh yeah,
that's. But I know that the home builders have, the big home builders especially, seem to adapted by doing those mortgage rate buy downs, so people don't have to pay 7%. Hey, we can put on your mortgage, and we'll buy at 5.5% or something.
And I'll say this: I really credit the home builders with kind of starting to help mitigate some of the issues with buyer confidence. Home builders they stepped into those spaces where they were doing those rate buy downs. Even in December, November, I was having conversations with some builders who were offering 4.5% interest.
4.5. Wow.
4.5. For like the first 3 years, and then moving up to 5.5 the second, or for 2 years after that, they were doing a 3-2-1 buy down. And that kind of
it's from a long time ago back then.
Yeah, and so I think they really, really kind of went to bat for the industry and helped as much as they could to kind of really restore some of that confidence in the economy.
It's good around here. I don't know if you saw that report that came out just real recently, that of the master plan communities in America, has 13 in the top 50. The best, the most, the most in each city, any market in America. We have 13 in the top 50 for master plan community home sales, builder home sales. That's so we got it out there. And there's they're all over. There's one, Baytown Crossing. Bridgeland, of course, is huge, and Sun Terra is huge out in Katy. And, that's so our builders are they figure things out. I don't know if there's any way. That in the existing home sales, is there some kind of option to develop or to offer a 3-2-1 buy down mortgage or discount mortgage rates? Is there a way to do that?
Absolutely. And that's one of the sort of creative solutions I'm seeing in the market right now, is that now that buyers have more leverage, I'm seeing sellers offering to pay for that 3-2-1 buy down as an enticement for, kind of like, concessions on closing costs. Sellers for a long time have oftentimes offered to pay for the buyer's closing costs, or a portion of, to help make that transaction happen for buyers who oftentimes are first-time home buyers and don't have the the equity that they've invested in something else to be able to pull out and have this large chunk to put down. Now I'm seeing that happen with these sort of rate buy downs as well.
Would a seller, how they, right, did they, they just talk to their listing agent and get them to figure out how to obtain one of those deals, or what do they do?
Usually that happens in the negotiation process, where maybe the buyer's agent is saying, look, in lieu of repairs, or in lieu of something, say $5,000 in closing cost concessions, would you pay X amount towards a 3-2-1 rate buy down? Because right now, those buyers a lot of times are more concerned with that monthly expense than they are the condition of the home, or the amount that they have to put down. They're thinking long term. They're thinking budget. And so that 3-2-1 buy down helps them make something a little more budget friendly, even if they have to maybe negotiate on some of the other terms.
And so, but a lot of the buyer's agents are familiar with how to make these things happen.
They're getting familiar for sure.
That brings up, the buyer's agent thing, which a lot of people have been talking about around the nation in recent months, with the Sitzler-Burnett lawsuit against the National Association of Realtors, which came back with some phenomenal, I think, $1.78 billion, the findings on that NAR was supposed to have to pay. They're appealing, of course, but I think the thing was about, a lot of it is about challenging the way that we've done real estate sales typically in America in the last 56, I don't know how long, since maybe before, but a long time. And the buyer's agents, when you're talking about things like this, the buyer agent has being able to provide information and know that availability of a buy down is there. That seems like things that a buyer, if I might say on the buyer's agent's behalf today, that can help you instead of going in there alone. I don't know how it's going to work. I know there was a subsequent suit about it. It included, I think, 47, I believe, of the local agencies around the state of Texas, and companies, and large companies, and then like HAR and other big ones like that around the state. What about these suits and the challenging this big challenge?
As far as the lawsuits go, I really can't speak to those. But one thing that I can talk about is buyer agency. You're bringing up the subject really at its core about the value of buyer agency. And I'll say this, commissions have always been negotiable. Personally, even myself, back in 2017, 18, I co-founded a real estate company at the time that was really dedicated to trying different types of commission or compensation models. We had flat fee listings. We had all sorts of things we were trying. I'm all for variety in the marketplace. I think it's only with variety that we get stronger and we get better. And buyer agency is honestly something that is so incredibly valuable. I feel like the real issue is not whether or not there's a value there, but how we communicate it. And I don't think that we've been as thorough in our communication of that as we can be. But for those who have gone down that road and experienced those buyer agents, wrestling for those 3-2-1 buy downs, or wrestling for, significant concessions on behalf of a buyer, those buyers have experienced it firsthand, and they sing those praises on the other side of the transaction every single time.
Yeah, first-time home buyers,
I'll tell you a story.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I had a client about a year ago who, right after that big freeze, lost her apartment, and she came to me asking if I could help her find a rental to live in, and she was a single mom with a 10-year-old special needs son, and I asked her, I said, well, you're going to be spending, I'll just throw some numbers out. This isn't completely accurate, but this was about the conversation. You're looking at spending $1,500 a month in a rental. If I could get you into a home that you could buy and spend less on a monthly basis, is that something you would be interested in? She was certain that would never happen. She was certain that couldn't happen. And 2.5 months later, she's crying at the closing table, saying that she had no idea that she would ever be able to own a home. And, it was because of a lot of these things that we're talking about that idea of not only having an affordable place to live, but a place where it's an investment and you're building your equity. It's not nearly as out of grasp as a lot of people think it is. And it's those are the experiences that just keep you going. Those are the experiences we love to have.
Before we go, last question. I just wanted the investment market. I mean, so many, there's huge companies that are buying a bunch of, thousands and thousands of one fell swoop.
Right.
Family houses for investment purpose, but there's also, I guess we call them the mom and pop that to buy, 1, 2, 6, 12, and fix and flip and all that stuff.
Right.
What's going on with that segment of housing right now?
That seems to be probably one of the most robust parts of the market right now. I talk to a lot of investors who are really kind of aggressively looking to continue what they've been doing. I will say that if you kind of separate out those institutional buyers, like the ones you're talking about with buying thousands and thousands of portfolios of homes, and then those sort of more entrepreneurial mom and pops that are just looking to fix and flip, or there's such a difference between the fix and flip and the buy and hold. The buy and hold is what has really added to a lot of our housing market shortage. But those fix and flip folks are such a vibrant part of our community and our industry. They seem to be really doing a great job right now.
It's interesting. There's a lot of it, and and a lot of people. Hey, if you had a rent house when the last big surge came through a couple of years ago, you pocketed some equity there. You made some money.
Absolutely.
Well, Shae Cottar, manager at EXP Realty, and also chairman-elect of the Houston Association of Realtors. Thanks a million. Enjoyed talking with you today.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.